Welcome again to another video lecture in Financial Accounting and Reporting. Okay, so we are now on uh, identifying the fundamental concepts and principles. Yan. So, what are the fundamental concepts ba in accounting? Okay, so una, we have here the entity concept. So, what is entity concept ba? An accounting entity is an organization or a section of an organization that stands apart from other organizations and individuals as a separate economic entity. Meaning, kung ikaw, meron kang business, separate kayo sa business mo. Meaning, the owner is not the business and the business is not the owner. Okay? Meaning again, separate silang dalawa. Kung bibili ng sasakyan si owner, okay, si business owner, and yung sasakyan niya is for personal use, asset niya yon. Kapag bibili naman siya ng mga machinery for business use, asset yun ng business niya, hindi ng owner. For example, partners. Okay, si entity concept, this is very applicable kasi sa partnership type of business organization kasi Okay? So, for example, ang partners, meron silang partnership business, tapos si partnership business bumili ng, let's say, equipment for business use. Yung equipment na yun ay asset yun siya ng partners. Asset yun siya ng partnership business, not by the individual partners. That is entity concept. It only means that the business should or is separate from its owners. Okay? Yan. Next is the going concern concept. So, a going concern concept means that business has indefinite life. Okay, syempre, sino ba namang sa start ng business na gusto niya 1 year, 2 years lang. Okay? So, ito yung concept in accounting wherein you assume that the life of the business is indefinite. Okay, indefinite siya and it will continue in the near future. Okay? Yan. So, another fundamental concept is, we have here the periodicity or time period concept. So, periodicity or time period concept, it is an entity's life can be meaningfully subdivided into equal time period for reporting purposes. Diba? We can actually relate this one or connect this one in going concern concept. Diba sabi natin that in the going concern concept, we assume that the business will continue in the foreseeable future indefinitely. Now, kapag continuous yung life or the life of the business is indefinite, how should we measure its transactions or how should we summarize or kailangan ba natin tapusin yung indefinite or hintayin yung indefinite period na yun? Kailan yung darating before tayo gagawa ng reports? Of course not. To make the business meaningful, we have this periodicity or time period concept wherein we subdivided the life of the business into equal time period. For example, every year, kaya we have year-end. We have accounting year-end. Usually, every December 31 yung year-end. Okay, so natatapos yung period, yung accounting period ng isang business, usually following a calendar year, December 31. Kaya, December 31, we prepare financial statement. Okay, so financial statements are prepared for the life of the business. Okay, ending December 31. December 31, no? So kumbaga isang taon ba? Okay? Para malaman natin na during that year, ending December 31, ano ba yung performance ng business natin? Okay? Ano ba yung position ng business natin? Para malaman, of course, ng mga owners for their decision-making purposes naman. Okay? Ayan. So, hindi lang December 31 nag-end yung mga business life. Meron tayong fiscal year, no? So, fiscal year nag-end siya at any month other than December 31. Example, nag-end siya January 31, February 31, March 31. February 28 pala, March 31, no? Ayan. Okay? So, next naman is we have here stable monetary unit. It means that transaction must be measured and recorded in terms of denomination of country For example, in the Philippines, our currency here is peso. So we should, measure our transaction in terms of peso. And stable monetary unit means that the value of peso is stable over time, over a long period of time na hindi daw siya nag-change. Okay? So isa siya sa assumption without regard to inflation, no? So nagtataas, nagbababa yung value ng peso. Okay? Inflation, bumababa yung value ng peso. Okay? So may mga may mga exception yan, no? So sa advanced accounting niyo, financial accounting and reporting subjects natin, soon meron tayong tinatawag na hyperinflationary economy. Yun naman yung you need to remeasure your financial statement in terms of or based on the inflation in a hyperinflationary economy. Okay, but again, as a fundamental concept, we assume that the value of peso is stable. Stable siya. Okay? Now, we have your criteria for general acceptance of an accounting principle. So we have here GAAP. In the Philippines, we have GAAP, diba? Generally accepted accounting principle, no? In the Philippines. Okay? Una, ayan. So GAAP, it means generally accepted accounting principles. Okay? It is a set of guidelines and procedures that constitute acceptable accounting practices. Okay? So in the Philippines, we have GAAP. Ito yung, it sets, no, the our generally accepted accounting principle or Philippine GAAP is, it provides guidelines with regards to transactions or how should you account transactions. Okay? In the Philippines, acceptable sa in Philippine settings. Ayan. Now, a principle has relevance. So, it is important that relevant yung principle. And when you say a principle has relevance, it means that to the extent that if the result in information that is meaningful and useful to those who need to know something about a certain organization, meaning, when you say relevant, kapag it affects the decision-making of a person, it means that a principle is relevant. No? An information is relevant if it affects how you think, if it affects how you decide. Pag nakita mo that the information is somehow like this, ito yung decision mo. Kung hindi mo pa siya nakita, yung information na yun, yung decision mo would be otherwise. O relevant yung information kasi it affects and it is useful to you as a decision maker. Okay? Yan. Next is we have a principle has objectivity to the extent that the resulting information is not influenced by the personal bias or judgment of those who furnish it. So, meaning, dapat wala siyang bias. Dapat neutral siya. Neutral siya. Okay? Ayan. So, kung sino man yung nag-prepare ng information na yun, dapat yung, hindi siya dapat, hindi dapat ma-influence yung piniprepare niya na information or na reports sa kung ano yung feelings niya or kung ano yung gusto niya. Dapat i-prepare niya yon based on his or her or the preparer's professional judgment and based on the generally accepted accounting principle. Okay? Yeah, that's objectivity. Next is a principle has feasibility to the extent that it can be implemented without undue complexity or cost. Dapat feasible siya. It could be applied. For example, meron tayong accounting policy. Dapat yung accounting policy natin practical siya, applicable siya. Pwede natin siyang i-implement without a need of, without a need of so much complexity and undue cost. Okay? To the implementer. That's feasibility. Okay? So, isa siya sa mga criteria for GAAP, no? And we have here basic principles. So, what are the basic principles ba? Una, we have objectivity principle. Okay? So, again GAAP, Generally Accepted Accounting Principle. We have basic principles here. Objectivity principle. Accounting records and statement are based on the most reliable data available so that they will be as accurate as useful as possible. So, dapat yung financial reports natin, it should be based on data that is true and that is reliable. And accurate, dapat tama yung mga data na basis natin o na ginagamit natin in providing or in furnishing those reports. Okay? Ayan. Next is historical cost. So when you say historical cost, this principle states that acquired assets should be recorded at their actual cost and not at what management thinks they are worth as at reporting date. Ayan. So very very basic explanation about historical cost. It only means na, for example, kapag meron kang binili na equipment on January 1, 2021, at yung binayad mo, okay? So yung binayad mo to buy the said equipment, that's actually the historical cost. That's the cost of the asset of the equipment. Kung binayad mo 1 million, dapat 1 million siya on December 31 yung cost niya. Hindi pwede na kung ano yung feeling ng management, feel ko nagmahal na ito this year, in December 31, okay? Today, for example, December 31 ngayon. Hindi pwede na sabihin ng management, feel ko yung value ng asset na to ay 900 million na lang kasi 900,000 na lang from 1 million na historical cost kasi ginamit na siya, hindi. Okay, kung ano yung value na, kung ano yung binayaran at the purchase date, yun dapat yung value ng yun dapat yung cost ng equipment at year end minus accumulated depreciation especially to get the carrying amount. Okay? And we also have here revenue recognition principle. When you say revenue recognition principle, revenue is to be recognized in the accounting period when goods are delivered or services are rendered or performed. Okay? So kung may nabenta ka daw this year, dapat this year mo din i-recognize yung revenue. Hindi pwede next year. Kung na-deliver mo na yung revenue ngayon or kung na-render mo na yung services ngayon, ngayong taon na to dapat mo i-recognize yung revenue related to the goods sold or to the services rendered. That's revenue recognition principle. Ayan. So, regardless of kung kailan ma-receive yung cash or payment, okay, for that for the goods sold this year or for the services rendered this year. So kahit na next year mo pa ma-receive yung payment, basta nakapag-deliver ka na ng goods or nakapag-render ka na ng service this year mo i-recognize dapat yung revenue related to those sales. Ayan. Next is we have expense recognition principle. So expense recognition principle says that expenses should be recognized in the accounting period in which goods or services are used up to produce revenue and not when the entity pays for the goods and services. So kung kailan mo daw nagamit yung services or kung kailan mo daw nagamit yung goods to produce goods or services, dapat ngayon mo rin, that period mo rin dapat i-recognize yung expense. Okay? O for example, nagbayad ka ng salaries or nakapag-render ng ang employees mo ng service this year. Okay, nakapagtrabaho sila. O dapat the salaries expense should be recognized this year, not next year kasi ngayon mo ginamit yung services nila. Okay? Ayan. For example din, let's say electricity. Okay, electricity is part of utilities expense. Nagamit mo naman yung electricity ngayong taon na to. January mo pa siya binayaran next year. Regardless of kailan mo siya bayaran, basta nagamit mo na siya this year yung electricity, expense mo na yon. Hindi pwede na i-recognize mo siya as expense kung kailan mo lang siya babayaran. Hindi pwede yon. That's expense recognition principle. Kung kailan mo nagamit yung expenses, kailan mo nagamit yung service, kailan mo nabili yung goods to produce or to generate revenue or to render service, that period mo dapat also i-recognize yung expense according to expense recognition principle. Yan. Adequate disclosure, ito, no? It requires that all relevant information that would affect the user's understanding and assessment of the accounting entity be disclosed in the financial statements. So, dapat may proper disclosure. Okay? So, kung yung information na yan, necessary yan, or essential yan for the understanding of the users with regards to that report, i-disclose mo yan, i-include mo yan sa report kung kailangan yan para mas maintindihan yun, kung ano man galing yung ni-report mo, para mas maintindihan nila yan, kailangan yan i-disclose. I-disclose mo, include mo yan sa report na yan. That's adequate disclosure. When you say adequate disclosure naman, it doesn't mean you have to disclose everything. Okay? Kasi that's impractical. You only disclose what needs to be reported. Okay? Or those information that is necessary and relevant for a further understanding of the users of those reports. Okay? That's adequate disclosure. That's basic principle. Ayan. O, materiality naman. Okay? So, materiality depends on the size and nature of an entity's judgment or of an item judged in the particular circumstance at its omission. So, when you say materiality or the concept of materiality means na ganito lang yun, no? Gano'n ba kalaki ang item na yan? Kapag yung item na yan, hindi natin in-include sa ating report, would it affect or would it influence or would it change someone's decision? If yes, material yung item na yan. For example, may asset ka na, let's say may accounts receivable ka na 20 million. Tapos may hindi ka na-report na 1,000. O do you think yung 1,000 affects or do you think yung 1,000 is material with regards to the 20 million na total accounts receivable mo? Of course, depende yun. If it really is material, if it really could affect the decision maker's decision, okay? Decision-making process nila, material yun. Kung hindi yun material. Okay? That's materiality. Next naman, we have here consistency principle. When you say consistency principle, the firms should use the same accounting method from period to period to achieve comparability over time within a single enterprises. However, changes are permitted if justifiable and disclosed in the financial statement. So, dapat kung ano yung accounting method na ginamit mo this year, yun din yung gamitin mo next year. Okay? Kung nag-straight line method of depreciation ka ngayon, straight line method dapat ka next year. Hindi pwede na straight line method of depreciation ka ngayon, tapos next year, sum of the years digit ka na naman. Hindi yun pwede. You are violating consistency principle. However, pwede naman siya kung justifiable, kung kailangan talaga. Okay? Kapag may justification ka, why there is a need to change accounting method from this year to next year, o gawin mo siya kapag justified siya. At dapat yung change na yon and including the justification, dapat disclosed siya or included siya sa iyong report. Para naman yung mga nagbabasa hindi sila hindi sila ma-shock, no? Okay, at least may reason ka na pinresent sa ila bakit mo or bakit ka nag-change ng method this year and next year. Okay? Yan. And that ends our basic principle concepts. Basic principles and concepts. Okay? So that ends our discussion for this unit learning, no? Ayan. So the fundamental characteristics or fundamental principles. Okay? So see you on our next video lecture in fundamentals of accounting or financial accounting and reporting. See you. Peace.